Hello, student. I, Dr. Shafali Jain, Assistant Professor, Tirthankar Mavi University. Student, today we discuss about Introductory Macroeconomics, Block 1, National Income. We discuss about the national income. National income is the money value of all the final goods and services produced by a country during a period of 1 year. National income consists of a collection of different types of goods and services of different types. So, national income means the value of goods and services produced by a country during a financial year. Thus, it is the net result of all economic activities of any country during a period of 1 year and is valued in terms of money. National income is an uncertain term and is often used interchangeability with the national dividend, national output, and national expenditure. So, national income is the total amount of income occurring to a country from economic activities in a year times. It includes payments made to all resources either in the form of wages, interest, rent, and profits. The progress of country can be determined by the growth of the national income of the country. National income. So, national income is an uncertain term which is used interchangeability with the national dividend, national output, and national expenditure. On this basis, national income has been defined in a number of ways. In common parlance, national income means the total values of goods and services produced annually in a country. In the other words, the total amounts of income occurring to a country from economic activities. So, the definitions of national income can be grouped into two classes. One of the traditional definitions, which is given yeah, advanced by Marshall, Pigou, and Fisher, and the modern definitions. नेशनल इनकम की बहुत सी डेफिनेशंस ट्रेडिशनल डेफिनेशन भी दी गई है साथ में मॉडर्न डेफिनेशन दी गई है ट्रेडिशनल डेफिनेशन मार्शल पीगू और फिशर के द्वारा दी गई है और मॉडर्न डेफिनेशन प्रोफेसर कीन्स के आदि के द्वारा दी गई है अब इस टॉपिक में हम इसे डिस्कस करेंगे द मार्शल डेफिनेशंस according to the marshal the labor and the capital of a country acting on its natural resources produce annually a certain net aggregate of commodity, material, and immaterial, including services of all kinds. This is true net annual income or revenue of the country of national dividend. In this definition, the word net refers to deduction from the gross national income in respect of depreciation and wearing out of machines, and to this must be added income from abroad. But Marshall definition also criticized in various concepts. First of all, Marshall says that the labor and capital of a country acting of its natural resources produce annually a certain net aggregates of commodities. It should be material and immaterials and service of all kinds. But here the problem is due to the varied categories of goods and services. It is very difficult to correct estimation is very difficult and there are so many goods in a country. There are so many goods and services produced in a country. So there is a chance of double counting. Hence, national income cannot be estimated correctly. For example, suppose a producer runs the supply from the producer to distributor to wholesaler to retailer and then to ultimate consumers. If on every moment commodity is taken into consideration, then the value of the national income increases. So also one main problem is also this in this method Marshall definitions. One other reason is that there are products which are produced but not marketed. For example, in an agriculture oriented country like India, like our country, India, there are commodities which through produce but are kept for self consumption or exchanged with other commodities and also will be kept for our relatives, daughters, sisters, etc. Thus, there can be an determinated of the national income. So there are some problem which is also created in the Marshall definitions. So there are many problems that is faced to the Marshall concept of national income debate suffered from the following practicals as difficulties in conducting a detailed census of the production. I have also discussed it is really very difficult to make a satisfactory factory correct estimate of the production of all the commodities and services turned out in a country during a specific year. It involves arrangements for a details and most comprehensive census of production in the economy covering all production units, not to speak of less developed countries where the imperfections in structure and organization of the economy do not permit such a large scale data collection. The conduct of census of production even in advanced countries is not an easy task. So to count all the services and goods to estimate in a country is not possible. It is uh, very big problem which has to suffer in the Marshall definition. That is next definition is next problem is difficulties is aggregations. The aggregation of outputs of goods and services is also not easy. The different commodities and services constitutes heterogeneous statistical units, जैसे wheats in tons, clothes in meters, and cottons is bales, petroleum is gallons, electricity is kilowatt. In this, uh, in this heterogeneity of the units of measurement of outputs in the aggregation may be considered much difficult. However, the difficulty, it's a great difficulty. If all the physical weights are converted into monetary units, the aggregation no longer poses any problem. Next difficulties is difficulties in monetary evaluations of goods and services. Uh, there are a number of commodities which are produced but whose output is not evaluated before consumption. As in India, a farmer, for example, retains parts of a total produce for self-consumption and for their relatives, their daughter, sister, brother. This portion of the produce is not evaluated by the normal market operation. Thus, even if a higher level of output has been achieved, the amount of marketed produce may remain the same, and therefore the estimation of national output cannot be regarded as accurate. Next main problem of the Marshall definition is double counting. It is the major difficulty in adopting Marshall definitions was. the possibility of double counting of the product since industries are related to other industries, and since our product has to pass through a number of successive stages of production, there is a likelihood of double counting in the aggregate output of a community, and the repeating inclusive of the same producer at the same stages of production is called double counting. So there are many problems which has to face in the Marshall definition. Double counting as um, as sugar cane. Sugar cane is used to make the sugar, and when एक फार्मर से अगर एक होलसेलर या एक कंपनी शुगर केन को लेती है, तो अगर फार्मर्स के पास भी इसको काउंट कर लिया जाए, कंपनीज के पास भी इसको काउंट कर लिया जाए, उसके बाद वो होलसेलर के पास जाता है, फिर रिटेलर्स के पास जाता है। तो इस प्रकार अगर फुल स्टेप में उस शुगर केन को काउंट करें, तो उसके उससे तो कई बार उसकी काउंटिंग हो जाएगी, डबल काउंटिंग हो जाएगी। सो उसके लिए वैल्यू एडिड मेथड्स को यूज किया जाता है। We will also discuss about the methods of measuring national income in the further videos. Now, next definition is the PIGU definition. PIGU defined a national income or dividend as that the part of the objective income of the communities, including, of course, income derived from abroad, which can be measured in the money. The PIGU definition of national income was considered as quite practical, plastic, and convenient. It does not give any rigid concept of the national income. According to PIGU, all the goods and services which are transacted in a specific year in exchange of money may be included in the national dividend of the country. So Pigu जैसे as a uh, Pigu has in his define of national income included that the income which can be measured in terms of money. In the words of Pigu, national income is that parts of objective income of community, including of course income derived from abroad, which can be measured in money. It means Pico emphasis upon the monetary exchange was thus a definition advanced over the Marshall concept of national income. In fact, this definition attempted to remove the difficulties of measuring national dividend, which was inherent in Marshall definition. But Pico's definition suffered from the some problems and distinction between the goods exchange for money and those not exchanged for money was artificial. After all, the goods exchanged for money do not differ in kind in any fundamental way. Suppose if a housewife cooks the meals for her own family, her services do not form a part of a national dividend, but if the same meals are being prepared to be served in a hotel or a restaurant, the service to become a part of it. Similarly, when a housewife cooks the meals for her own family members, these services are not a part of national dividend. But if she also prepares the meals for a paying guest, parts of the service rendered definitely becomes a part of national dividend. If the housewives in the locality decide to purchase the meals from one another, the services of all such housewives would form a part of the national dividend. The same thing can be said about the well known illustration given by Pigu about the maid servant marrying her masters and continuing the same services, since her services will no longer be paid because they become excluded from the national dividend of the country. Secondly, PICO definition of national income is of very limited significance in the poor countries where a very large proportion of goods and services might be exchanged through water system. So Pigu's definition is better than the Marshall definition. It has proved to be more practical also while calculating the national income nowadays. Estimates the prepare of in accordance with the first of all avoiding it's also good and it's also better than the Marshall definition. First, avoiding double countings, the goods and services which can be measured in money or included in national income. Second, income received on the account of investment in foreign countries is included in the national income. But there are some also problems that is also arise in the PGOS problems. First of all, um, in actually there is no differences in the fundamental forms of such commodities, no matter they can be exchanged for money. Second, according to these definitions, when only such commodities as can be exchanged for money are included in estimations of a national income. The national income cannot be correctly measured. According to PU, as I also explained you, suppose a woman's service as a nurse would be included a national income but excluded when she worked in the home to look after her children because she didn't receive any salary for it. Similarly, PICO of the view that if a man, as I also explained, marries his lady secretary, the national income diminishes as he has no longer to pay for her service. Thus, PICO definition gives rise to a number of paradoxes. Third, PIGO definition is applicable only to developed countries where goods and services are exchanged for money in market. According to this definition, in the backward and the undeveloped countries of the world, where is a major portion, where is the major portion of produce is simply watered system. Correct estimation of national income will not be possible because it will always work out less than the real level of income. Thus, the definition advanced by people has a limited scope. After this, Fisher definition comes in the existence. Fisher's adopted the consumption as a criterion. Pico and Marshall adopted production criterion while uh, uh, Fisher adopted consumption. Marshall and Pigu regarded it to be a production. According to Fisher, the national dividend or income consists solely of services as received by ultimate consumer, whether from their material or from the human environment. Thus, a piano or a overcoat made for me this year is not part of this year's income, but an additional to the capital. Only the service rendered to me during this year by these things are income. So Fisher definition is considered to be better than that of Marshall or Pico because Fisher definition provides an adequate concept of economic welfare, which is dependent on consumption, and consumption represents our standard of living. But there are also some defects found in the Fisher definition. From the practical point of the view, this definition is less useful because there are certain difficulties in measuring the goods and services in terms of money. First, it is difficult, it is more difficult to estimate the money value of net consumption than that of net production. In one country, there are several individuals who consume a particular goods and that too is at different places and therefore it is very difficult to estimate their total consumption in terms of money. Second, certain consumption goods are durable and last for many years. If we consider the example of piano or overcoat as given by Fisher, only the services rendered for the during 1 year by them will be included in income. Uh, Now suppose if one in an overcoat cost rupee 100 and last for 10 years. Fiction, sorry, 1000, sorry, if an overcoat coat cost rupee 1000 and last for 10 years, Fisher will take into account only 100 as national income during 1 year, whereas Marshall and Pigu will include rupees 1000 in the national income for the year when it is made. Besides, it cannot be said with a certainty that the overcoat will last only for 10 years. It may last longer or for a shortened period. Third, next, the problem is arise in the Fisher definitions. The durable goods generally keep changing hands, leading to a change in their ownership and values too. It therefore becomes difficulties to measure in money the service value of these goods from the points of view of consumption. For example, the owner of a Maruti car sells it at a price higher than its real price, and the purchaser, after using it for a number of years and further sells it at its actual price. Now the question is as to which of its price, whether actual or black market one, should be taken into account, and afterwards when it is transferred from one person to another, which of its value according to its average age should be included in national income. But the definition advanced by Pigu, Marshall, Fisher are not altogether flawless. However, the Marshall and Pigu definition tells us the reason influencing economic welfare, whereas the Fisher definition helps us compare economic welfare in different spheres. After this, I think you have to understood well the traditional economics definitions, traditional definition advanced by Marshall, Pigu, and Fisher. Now we discuss about the modern definitions. From the modern point of the view, Simon Kujits has defined national income as as the net output of commodities and service following during the years from the country provides system in the hands of the ultimate consumers. So, after traditional definition, modern definitions also given in the modern definition, as I also read, uh, as Simon Kuznets also says, the net output of the commodities and services flowing during the year from the country's productive system in the hands of the ultimate consumer. It means, on the other hand, in one of the reports of United National Income, has been defined on the basis of the system of estimating national income as net national product as additional to the shares of different factors and as net national expenditure in a country in a year's time. In practical, while estimating national income, any of these three definition may be adopted because the same national income would be derived if uh, if different items were correctly included in the estimate. So, in the modern definition, the Keynes concept also considered Keynes' concept of the national income is here. While explaining the concept of the national income, Keynes made a departure from the earlier thinking on the concept. He adopted an approach which helped in the aggregative analysis of income and employment. Keynes has suggested, Keynes, as you all know, John Maynard Keynes is the considered the father of the macroeconomics, and he has a great contribution to the macroeconomics. He also give the concept of the national income, and I also want to discuss with you. Keynes has suggested three approaches to national income in his book as the general theory. First of all, aggregate expenditure. Aggregate expenditure on the consumption and investment goods approach. Yani aggregates expenditure approach. Next, factor income approach. Next, sales proceeds minutes cost approach. The aggregate expenditure approach. In the aggregate expenditure approach, Keynes has explained the aggregate expenditure approach through the following uh, also give the expenditure approach through the following following algebraic relations. He also gave a algebraic relation as he says a minus a plus g dash minus b minus g is equal to by. Here, A stands for the aggregate sales proceed received by all the entrepreneur in the community, and A1 is the amount of aggregate purchases made by the entrepreneur from other entrepreneur. These purchases are in the form of raw material, tools, equipment, and other intermediate products. If A1 is detected from A, what remains is the purchases made by the consumer from the entrepreneurs or consumer outlay. Just like a G dash minus B dash. He also used the G dash minus B dash, the net value of capital goods carried over from the previous production period. Because and expenses are incurred on the materials and improvement, while G's actual value of capitals, equipment at the end of the current production period. Thus, G dash minus B dash minus G is the capital consumption during the current production period in order to maintain the country's capitals intact. It is essential to offset this capital consumption while an equivalent amount of the investment. If G is just equal to GB, it shows that investment is current period was only enough to offset capital consumption. Just like he also says the factor income approach. Key second approach to national income is in terms of incomes received by all the factors of production. He has expressed the national income aggregates as a sum of received of the factors of production like land, labor, and capital, plus the earning of profit accruing to the entrepreneur. With it, he also take the sale proceed minus cost approach. Keynes' third approach to national income is based on aggregate sales minus cost. The view implies that the national income of a community lies somewhere within between the gross national product and net national product. National income falls short in GNP but exceed NNP. Keynes does not deduct of GNP the whole of the depreciation and replacement cost but only a part of it, which is the terms of users cost. Users cost constitute the difference between the depreciation in the value of capital assets, and these are used, and the depreciation which would occur if these were allowed to remain idle, plus the amount spent on their maintenance, etc. So we discuss about the traditional definitions and modern definition. Now we also discuss the characteristics of national income. National income is estimated in monetary terms This may be expressed at current prices or some base year prices. Next, only the value of final goods and services are taken into account for measuring national income. I have also discussed you with it. National income is always expressed with respect to a given time period. Hence, it is flow concept. Accounting fiscal year. All types of pure exchange transactions are excluded from the national income accounting. In case of pure exchange transactions, nothing new is produced in the current year. For example, second-hand sales, purchase and sales of securities, share and debentures, transfer payments such as unemployment, pension payment, etc., are regarded as the pure exchange transaction, or such transactions are not concerned with the current year's production. So they are excluded from the national income estimate. National income is not simply and sum of all persons' income in a country. There are differences between domestic income and national income. National income, it includes income earned by the residents only, while domestic income, it includes income or earned by the residents, as my income is also called domestic income, as well as non-residents. National income, it consists the income earned both within and outside the domestic territory of a country. It consists of income earned only with the domestic territory. National income, it is an economic concept. Domestic income, it is a geographical concept. National income, it includes net factor income from the abroad. Domestic income, it does not include net factor income from abroad. National income is equal to domestic income plus net factor income from abroad, while domestic income is equal to net income, national income minus net factor income from abroad. So, in simply, we can say that national income, we can say national income represent as the national income defined as a country's wealth. This income depicts the value of goods and services which are produced by an economy. This gives effect to the national result of all the economic activities performed in the country. Imagine how you would define a country's wealth without any national terms, without any economic terms. In that case, there would be no accountability and responsibility linked with the production in the country. The resources would go uncalculated, and there would be a, a disturbance economic atmosphere. So national income is the sum total of the value of all goods and services manufactured by the residents of the country in a year within its domestic boundaries or outside. It is the net amount of income of the citizens by production in a year. So national income is the accumulation money values of the all final goods and services produced in a country during one final year's computations of national income is very vital as it indicates the overall health of our country for that particular years. The aggregate economic performance, national income is calculated with the help of national data. The basis purpose of national income is to throw light on aggregate outputs and income and provides a basic for the government to formulate its policy programs to maximize the national welfare of the people central and in India. Central Statistical Organization calculates the national income in India. Hope Strand, you well understood the national income, the definition of national income, what is the difference between national income and domestic income. You also, in this video, you also know about the traditional definitions, Marshall, Pigou, and Fisher, modern definitions. So now, thank you very much.